It's often said that the greatest wildlife conservation story in American history is the restoration of the white-tailed deer. Although plentiful today, the whitetail was on the brink of extinction around the turn of the last century. Consider this: the U.S. Biological Survey in 1890 estimated the wild white-tailed deer population of the United States and Canada at about 300,000. Last year, hunters took more than 109,000 whitetails just in Oklahoma alone. That's fully 1/3 of the number believed to even exist just a little more than 100 years ago. The magnificent success story of deer restoration also played out in Oklahoma during the mid-1900s, and Fred Manous of Antlers witnessed much of that process.
You know, people nowadays don't realize that the shortage of game that we went through, I think they would appreciate it more if they just realized where we came from.
Mr. Manous was born in Atoka, and when he was 5 years old, his father died and the family moved to Rattan to run free-range cattle.
We started out hunting just rabbits or squirrel. We wouldn't take rabbits till after frost, and we never heard of deer when I was growing up, but I always wanted to deer hunt, and my folks didn't hunt, but it's just kind of, I think it's just kind of in you if you want to deer hunt.
In 1949, when he was only 13, Mr. Manous had his first opportunity to go to deer camp.
It was hot. We rode horses from Rattan to Lost Lake, which is about probably 10 or 12 miles. And while we were up there, it came a blizzard. And we had to ride horses all the way back to Rattan. So I learned early to take a jacket with you, take a coat if you had to. Yeah, 1949.
On that trip, Mr. Manous recalls the men going hiking, but they left their guns at camp.
And we came out across Cloudy Creek and started up the mountain. A big old buck was standing in the road, and that's the first deer I'd ever seen in the wild. Then next season I went, I saw a fawn, and I bragged about that for the whole year, because deer were scarce as hen's teeth.
And since his folks did not hunt, it wasn't until after he married that he started hunting deer with his father-in-law.
And I guess the first time deer season ever opened up, well, he had gone. He was quite a hunter and a fisherman. And I kind of watched him, and he kind of took me under his wing, and he didn't necessarily tell me things, but I watched everything that he did because he had good rules and good morals. Probably the first deer I ever killed was a 26-pointer in 1965. I think I'd hunted 11 years before I ever killed a deer, but it was a good one. The only thing is they've got smaller ever since. Oh.
Mr. Manous recalls the many changes that have happened throughout the decades since he started deer hunting. When he started, hunting seasons were only 3 to 5 days long. Now archery season runs for 107 days and gun season runs for 16 days. In 1936, the year Mr. Manous was born, Oklahoma held a 5-day deer hunting season restricted to 7 southeast counties, and hunters took 375 deer.
Hunting is just evolved so much. I'll see more deer coming to work in the mornings on the highway than I used to see in the woods, so you can imagine how things has changed. Then, if you saw a deer, it was a good season. Now, if you harvest one, it's a good season. We see, you might see 20 and 30 deer in one day now, when you wouldn't see that in 3 or 4 years when I was growing up.
Roads were few into the remote areas of southeast Oklahoma in his early days. He recalls deer camps would line the popular roads just one after another, and there was an important social component in deer hunting then.
It was like a town. For the deer camps, they would just lie. All of them had to camp along that road.
As more roads began piercing the heavy forests, the deer camps spread out and hunters became more isolated. When Mr. Manous was in grade school, he said a game ranger, as they were called back then, showed up and presented a program. The crisp green uniform and spit-shined boots made quite an impression, and Mr. Manous decided right then that he wanted to become a game ranger. In 1967, his goal became reality when he was hired by the Wildlife Department. He was issued a pair of pants and an Army shirt, and he recalls his wife washing them every night. He saw many changes in his 30 years as a game warden. At first, his department vehicle was a four-door sedan, and by the time he retired, he was cruising in a four-wheel drive pickup. Mr. Manous became a local legend partly because of his weekly column he wrote for the Pushmataha County newspapers.
Guys that teased me about it, I told them I used a newspaper more than I did a pistol, because every week I can tell them what I want them to know and inform people and let them know what you're trying to do. They're more likely to help you.
But the biggest change he has seen during his years of hunting is the restoration and growth of the deer population statewide.
Like when I first started to work, we were trying to get 5,000 deer in a season, and now to get that much probably in Osage County.
Another change that concerns him is the decline in the number of hunters nationwide, which poses a threat to the future of our great American tradition. He urges current hunters to do as he's done in passing along the hunting tradition to the next generation.
We should take these young people and teach them the right way. Kids learn more by watching than they do by listening.
He's always told novice hunters to appreciate the game they pursue and go ahead and harvest their fair share. But always do the right thing and it will pay off. When bag limits are followed, the game is being managed properly, which ensures the next generation can enjoy the same resources this generation enjoys.
I would encourage young men that maybe have slacked up hunting or have got their mind on something else to try to remember what it was like when they're a child. It doesn't matter if you're 83 or 40 or 20. If you're at a deer camp, everybody's equal, rich and poor. And if a young man would remember what it was like and start over, just be that little boy. Just be out there and enjoy it. Look around and just smile to yourself the gifts that the good Lord gave us to enjoy. You don't have to make it hard labor. Just slow down and enjoy. It's lovely.
Something that hasn't changed in his 83 years is the joy that hunting can bring. Being in nature, being alone, pondering whatever comes to mind, and witnessing the sights are all experiences hunters can cherish. Mr. Manous says most people today want instant gratification, but the key to enjoying the outdoors is to slow down.
Some people never see a beautiful sunrise, and those sunrises this year has been pure gold, just coming up, and sunsets that are beautiful. And if you can get your kids and grandkids to see those things, why not take advantage of it? Don't miss that. Enjoy it.
He recalls sitting in the deer blind with his grandson when a bobcat crossed in front of him.
You don't get to see that sitting on the divan or uptown. You've got to get out there in the woods and be quiet, be still.
But Mr. Manous realizes hunting isn't everyone's passion.
There's no words for it. Either you love it or you don't, and I love it.
And he's loved it for 7 decades without fail. This past year, Mr. Manous was out in the woods with his son for deer gun season, continuing their lifelong tradition. And his bonus, he harvested a buck on opening day.